Trying not to get hurt. Seems like that's going around in Broncos country right now. Welcome to That's Injured Broncos. I'm Brandon. I'm putting myself on IR, even though I'm totally healthy Perna. The Broncos, through 2 weeks, have mentally exhausted me. All offseason, I was scared we wouldn't have football this fall, and now I just want it to go away. You know, when you're out real drunk with your friends, having an amazing night, real drunk and everything is great, but then you wake up hungover as hell with a headache like Vontaze Burfict took a cheap shot on your brain, and then you realize you left your credit card at the bar. And you made out with someone you shouldn't have, and you pissed the bed. That cycle of joy and sickness is what I felt every few minutes of this Broncos game. It was like I watched an entire season of football in one frickin' day. Drew Lock will be out for a while with his AC Slater arm. Draymond Jones probably out for a while with a knee injury. And Courtland Sutton, right as his shoulder healed, promptly tore his ACL and will miss the rest of the season. Because, of course, the resilience, though, of this Broncos team, even if they're starting Vontaze Burfict by the end of the season due to injury issues, is why you should give them your attention every Sunday. They had every excuse to let the Steelers crush them by 30 points, but they had a chance at the end of the game to win. That, of course, was botched by 2 questionable play calls with a backup QB in the game, but I digress. Let's recap Broncos Steelers and my own personal fucking misery. Whew. Yeah. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for more insane rants. I do have Big Dick Patreon shoutouts today and a Patreon announcement. Look, all $5 patrons get Wilkies in my weekly NFL predictions episode. So every week, it's an exclusive Patreon video. And now, shoutouts for Daniel Howell, upping to $20. Still waiting for Brandon's OnlyFans to drop. Jordan Shito. Aaron Johnson, upping to $3. Oh, God. Mia Huula Tua Ninamanualopula Tungavailoa. Jesus. Blue Ridge Mountain Plumbing, now at $163, the best damn plumbing in Central Virginia. Dolphin Down East at $21, and Corey Randall. Patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. Thank you, guys. Ben Roethlisberger magically healed his elbow by giving up porn this offseason. You gotta watch a lot of porn to get tennis elbow from that. After scientists operated on Ben's elbow and installed a fleshlight in his forearm, he returned to the gridiron and looks to be in great shape. He somehow lost weight, and Captain Fat Fuck is now Captain Fit Fuck. That doesn't make any sense to me, as half of the calories I burn every day do come from masturbation. But whatever works for you, Ben. It was really easy. Instead of clicking on Pornhub or Grubhub, I go down here and open the Beachbody app. Oh, bravo. Ben implemented the Play 60 philosophy into his fitness routine. And to show my respect for your team, I've got a new nickname for your Steelers wide receivers. We remember the terrible killer bees for Ben, Bell, and Brown. Well, now you've got Johnson, Smith, and Washington. In Trips formation, you shall call them the Founding Fathers. Just pray they come back after going out for a pack of cigarettes. Let's talk about my QB. No, not Drew Lock. Certainly not Jeff Driskel, but John Elway. As he watches the game in a seductive pose even Mike Tomlin would envy. How do you do it, John? Not even a scooter could make that flannel. Oh, no, it can. Now, the one undeniably good thing that came of this game is that we now have proof Rich Gannon is a robot.
Ojemudia is going to have a busy day. Egg out there on the corner. 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 Egg out there on the corner.
Just as you started to get your beat down, it's 2nd and 3. This is Connor.
What a veteran move by Greg Gumbel. Just as you got your beat down, it's 2nd and 3. Greg is the better Gumbel, and Gannon was built by underage kids in China. You won't face a defense forced to start a rookie corner every week, Pittsburgh, while Ben gets an eternity to throw from a pass rush, severely lacking as Bradley Chubb is still finding his legs and Vaughn is still gone. Now the Broncos should have scored early when they had the Steelers reeling against the run. It was the only drive they were able to rush the ball down the throats of the Steelers, and they should have just kept feeding the rock to Melvin Gordon until he was as fat as 2016 Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers' defense is not going to give anyone many opportunities to score, so you have to seize that shit. Now the Broncos gave up 7 sacks. That was the ultimate difference maker in a game where you could point to a dozen things that went terribly wrong for the Broncos. Maybe 24 things. Drew Lock only needed to be sacked once to injure his AC joint, proving he's a very efficient quarterback. Now, I don't know exactly what his shoulder injury was. I didn't take the time to check it before I shot this episode. Some sort of shoulder issue. But it's more serious than Sutton's was because Drew Lock needs his arm to, take sacks. Rookie Michael Ojemudia is probably going to catch a lot of heat this week, although he might drop that as well. He started the game off with 2 nice passes defended, but the first Steelers touchdown came because Ojemudia let a surefire interception go right through his hands. He really Jerry Judy'd that pick. Man, I am bitter. It was hard to rewatch OJ drop that ball, which is why I bring it up. On the next play, instead of just tackling Juju Smith-Schuster, he tries to strip the ball on a 3rd and 10, which allows Juju to propel himself past the first down marker before James Conner punched it in. That's a 7-point swing. Let's stick with the rookie for a second, though, giving up that big touchdown to Chase Claypool. Did chasing Claymore's push off? Certainly. He impeded OJ's ability to make a play on the ball. It should have been offensive pass interference, but instead of focusing on the tackle, Ojemudia starts looking at the ref, begging for a fucking flag, touching tribute to Kobe, and in doing so, slows down, trips, and falls on his face. Just an incredibly embarrassing play for the Rook. Now, I know OJ thought Clay above ground pool was going to splash out of bounds, but he didn't. The final touchdown he allowed was unfortunate, but that was also a great play by Roethlisberger to extend the play. Really good quarterbacks in the league all have one thing in common. They avoid the pass rush, or at least make that first guy miss to extend plays long enough for someone to get open. I think that might be one big thing Jeff Driscoll's game does not have. Now, a real concern for me right now, besides having 0 starters, is the Broncos special teams units. All of them, outside of McManus, yes, even slamming Sam Martin's drop punt in the end zone for a safety was a killer. Those 2 points were a difference maker at the end of the game when Denver could have just tickled the gooch to tie it up instead of having to go for it on 4th, but I'm talking about the coverage and return units. Martin's drop punt was a result of a poor return on the kickoff. Just kneel the damn ball. Kaepernick didn't sacrifice his career so you would be scared to kneel when it's most appropriate. And if it weren't for Brandon McManus, the Steelers would have taken the opening kick after halftime to the house. You know what house? The House of Pain, a home built by Vic Fangio. Luckily, Justin Simmons made that return irrelevant with an interception off of a terrible Roethlisberger throw, which paled in comparison to his fat fucking flop when he turned his back into an Alexander Johnson block. Why are quarterbacks suddenly protected on interceptions now? The Steelers also scored a touchdown on a punt return called back for a block in the back. So, a block for a block, I guess. Now, this game was an utter disaster for Denver on so many levels. I knew that no matter what good happened, it would be followed by at least 2 bad things. Driscoll hits Courtland Sutton deep, who then fell down for no reason. Maybe he tore his fucking ACL right there, or maybe the ghost of Eric Decker's big dick entered him. That big play punctuated with another Driscoll sack. Then Fangio calls for a 58-yard field goal, which of course did not split the gooch. But back to Justin Simmons and his interception. After that, Denver drives down the field with Noah Fant, gets to the 4-yard line, and you guessed it, good plays, followed by a Driscoll sack. This one is on him, and he did have a wide open KJ Hamler in the back of the end zone to really salt our wounds. The Broncos settle for a field goal. Every good feeling in this game followed by pain, no exceptions. The referees were able to see enough contact from Broncos receiver Tim Patrick to flag him for offensive PI, but not Claypool. Tim Patrick does have an ugly history, though, of never getting the right call. It's his biggest weakness as a wide receiver. He always looks like the problem to the officials. In the second half, Jeff Driskel orchestrated a solid drive aided by a roughing the passer call to get the Broncos their first touchdown of the day. It was a nice pass to Fant, who also got wide open for the 2-point conversion, and I am obligated to point out that he did torch linebacker Devin Bush on both plays. So did Denver win that draft pick trade? Yeah, seductive Elway might think so. Now Driscoll was actually serviceable in this game. Again, he was sacked 6 times. Some were his fault, some the offensive line, and some of the shit you just have to eat when you play a vicious front 7. I don't know how much better Drew Lock would have fared because Driscoll threw for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, and his 1 pick was 100% Sutton's fault. He did enough to give the Broncos a chance to win. His biggest mistake? Not catching his own pass in the second quarter. One of the best stats you can have is catching your own pass. Look where that got Marcus Mariota. A backup job in Vegas. It's the key to being an elite backup, Jeff. Now at the end of the game, hope was UPS delivered to us. Had to be UPS because we all know the state of the postal service right now. By the officials, appropriately calling pass interference on 3rd and 11 to keep the Broncos' final drive alive. Then the best player on the Broncos offense, Noah Fant, makes a bobbling catch on the sideline. What was the theme of this game though? Do you remember? Yes, Fant better than Bush, but also good, immediately followed by bad. Denver, after another impressive drive, has a 3rd and 2 and attempts 2 passes, with the 4th down attempt featuring no blitz pickup. Terrell Edmonds sacks the shit out of Driscoll. Melvin Gordon picked up 3 on the 2nd and 5, so why does Pat Shurmur not think he can do it again with Gordon? Run left behind Bowles and Reisner and picked up the 1st. That's just what I would have done, and the Broncos would have won the game because I know more than the coaches. You don't make a ton of YouTube videos about the Denver Broncos and not know how to coach the team better than the coaches. Now, positives from the game. This team does not quit. I already said that, but that's the biggest positive. KJ Hamler, he don't take no shit. And here's a great stat by one Andrew Mason. The Broncos are the first offense to score more than 20 points against the Steelers in Pittsburgh's last 8 games. Baltimore scored 28 in Week 17 of last year, but 9 of them were scored by its defense. So, without Locke, Lindsey, a part-time performance from Sutton, Elijah Wilkinson struggling mightily at right tackle, Jerry Jeudy also part-timer. Denver did more against this Steelers team than anyone should have expected. Justin Simmons, still a monster, and Jarrell Casey keeps TJ swatting balls to the ground. Brace for the Buccaneers. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos Sports. I have an identity crisis. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, at Brandon Perna, if you want to talk football to me there.